The most common ones is Blvd. Blvd is a very, very robust ATS. Greenhouse, Bamboo HR, Smart Recruiters is another example. There are tons more. You now have even job boards that are including ATSs. LinkedIn want to get a little bougie because they call themselves saying, we're not going to call it this or that, which are the common names, right? They're not going to call it applicant or job title or whatever. They call things like projects. But I really love ATSs. I'm a big, big fan of an applicant tracking system. I have not found one yet that I hate. Now, the definition of an applicant tracking system is a software that gives you a variety of tools to automate many parts of recruiting and the hiring process. So it's literally just a software system. So let me give you some examples of applicant tracking systems. And I'm gonna try here, what I tried to do with this list of examples was to give you examples of literally applicant tracking systems, because so long there were applicant tracking systems and then there were human resources information systems. Now human resources information systems are making applicant tracking systems a part of their process or a part of their system. It's dwindling down the number of just applicant tracking systems and increasing on the number of HRISs, because your HRIS should handle your entire employee lifecycle. I'm doing a video on that next, so definitely if you're not subscribed, hit the bell. With HRISs, they're now including more of the applicant tracking systems, so there are less applicant tracking systems that do not do the entire employee lifecycle. Or I'm going to do a video on employee lifecycle. I'm doing a video on both, to be honest with you. And so you definitely want to hit the bell and subscribe so you don't mess up either one of them. But you typically want a system where you can handle the entire employee life cycle, because I've been in HR for 12 years, and I'll say for the first 7 years of my career, I work with companies that use a partial HRIS, a partial ATS, another system for benefits, another system for benefits enrollment, another system for payroll. Like, I had to log in and out of systems all day long. So when I finally got to a company that had a robust HRIS, which was Paycom, man, I loved it. I can do every single thing with an employee there that I would need to do through the entire employee life cycle. That would go from performance reviews and pay increases and payroll. Like, everything we needed to do was in that one system. And that made me work so much more clear, because I wasn't constantly remembering passwords, resetting passwords, or getting a new password, or logging out of a system and having to log back in, or having 5 systems open and forgetting which employee I'm working with. And so I absolutely love a HRIS. But some example of ATSs are the most common ones is Blvd. Blvd is a very, very robust ATS. I've used it at 2 different companies in my career. We use it now and I used it years ago. And I have noticed that it's just gotten better in my opinion. And now it talks to more systems, but I wish it talked to even more systems. Greenhouse, Bamboo HR. Bamboo HR has limited HRIS access, so you can send out like company announcements or payroll. There are parts of the employee life cycle that you can do. Unfortunately, I haven't worked with Bamboo HR where I can do everything, and I haven't heard good things about them where people feel like they can do everything in them, or that they're really robust. And then Smart Recruiters is another example. There are tons more. If you have an ATS, dedicated ATS system, put it in the chat. I'd love to know about more and more of them. So you now have even job boards that are including ATSs. When I say that, I'm talking about the systems you would use like Indeed. Indeed now has an ATS system in it where we can send out rejection emails. We can see who just applied. We can see who's in an interviewing process. We can see who got a job offer. It's not as robust as a full ATS or an HRIS that has an ATS. It's just a shocker to me to see Indeed grow, because I've worked with Indeed like majority of my career and they never had that capability. Another one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn now has a bit of an ATS in it, not as aggressive. LinkedIn want to get a little bougie because they call themselves saying, we're not going to call it this or that, which are the common names, right? They're not going to call it applicant or job title or whatever. They call things like projects. They use some other lingos that I'm like, oh, now I feel like I'm kind of learning the ATS over again. I'm not a big fan of LinkedIn's ATS. Another thing is ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter now has it where you can do a little bit of the applicant tracking system or use applicant tracking system capabilities in it as well. All job boards that have embedded ATSs now. Some HRISs, Human Resources Information Systems, that include ATSs, applicant tracking systems, are your Paycom, your Paylocity, your ADP, your Paycor, Workday, namely UKG. Those are some of your systems that have them both. I'm not sure about Greenhouse. I almost wrote them down because I found them in a list of just ATSs, but I've never used Greenhouse. So I think that Greenhouse is just an ATS. And there are tons more HRISs that have ATSs in them. Don't forget that, and I guess it makes sense to me because I work in the tech industry, but don't forget that technology is constantly creating new stuff. This is why you're seeing more people that are hired as product managers, that are hired as operations, technology operations, that's hired as engineers, that's hired as data folks, because all technology, just like how you would use Facebook or Instagram, you're like, man, they always got a new update. Well, it's the same thing with HRSs and ATSs. They are now just in a space where they're constantly improving, constantly changing. People say, Tamika, where do I learn how to use an HRS? From that HRIS. Tamika, where do I learn how to use an ATS? From that ATS, because they change so often. They all have their own capabilities. They all do things a tad bit different. It depends on which ones you're using between an ATS or HRS, if they can talk to each other. So now this may make it a little bit different when you get to onboarding or offering a candidate. Typically what I do when I work with a full HRS or a full ATS is I just say, okay, every year at this time in this period, I sit down and go through the trainings all over again. Or some systems will offer like monthly on-demand courses. Some will offer live webinars or masterclasses where they teach how to use their system. Some have recorded, like I said, on demand. Some of them have like little handbooks, like online handbooks, very good little online handbooks. They all have like what you call like a resource center or what have you to teach you constantly how to use their system. I know that Paycom was really good that they would have a monthly updates webinar or course. They would go live every month to tell you about the monthly updates. And then they got to a point where I think they just kind of slowed down on the updates. And so then they started doing a quarterly updates. Initially, when I was learning that system, I used to make it my business to learn the new updates. As I learned that system, got comfortable with it, was moving with it really fast, I started saying, okay, you know what? I need to look at what they're teaching. Like, what are the things y'all going to, what's on your agenda? And then that helps me determine if I should attend or not, because it was like, okay, well, I don't use that as often, so why attend the course? But I really love ATSs. I'm a big, big fan of an applicant tracking system. I have not found one yet that I hate. I think they all are phenomenal because I went so long in my career without one where it took us way longer to handle candidates or to get them through the hire process or to get through the recruiting process, that I'm just happy for every single applicant tracking system I see. Even if it sucks. Just like at HRS, y'all have heard me on my vlogs complain about HRISs. I'll complain about it, but child, I'm happy I have it because I still remember the day I had to do paperwork and go from system to system and go into actual physical files. I'm just happy we have one. I just want you to know that if you are like, you know what, Tamika, this is good basic knowledge on an ATS, but I kind of wanted more high level stuff, then I have done a video on sourcing. How do you find these candidates to get them in the ATS? How do you find candidates for hard to fill positions? So I talked about what is sourcing. I'll make sure to not only plug it here, but I'll also make sure to put it in the description box. And then I also have a video on artificial intelligence and recruiting. AI is really being infused into these applicant tracking systems. And that's why we're able to use them so much quicker. That's why when you go to type something in, it's kind of guesstimating what you're looking for. AI and recruiting, I'll definitely put that here as well. To make this whole thing a little bit easier, I do have a recruiting and talent acquisition playlist. I'll put that playlist at the end of this video so you can just click on it. So for those of you who are new, I am Tamika Green. I have been working in HR for over the last 12 years. I started as an HR assistant, grew my way to an HR director, eventually an HR consultant, and now I happily sit as a global human resources business partner. I have not only an MBA, but I also have my master's in human resources management, and I have the highest level SHRM certification, the SHRM SCP. And so I say all of that to say that you're going to find some of the best human resources information right here with Heyyy HR. So if you haven't already, I hope that you consider subscribing and hitting the bell so that you don't miss new videos. For those of you who are returning, I thank you so much for returning. I just cannot wait to see all of y'all on the next video.